Strong.
Well, a very, very, very happy Monday to you guys. Good morning, wherever you guys are listening or watching us on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Thank you guys for tuning in to us. It is Monday, June 6th. Make sure all the buttons and bells and whistles work. Well, I want to first welcome you guys into a brand new show called The Throw-In. With Justin. I am Justin. Thank you guys for tuning in, and you guys probably have a lot of questions, and let me try to do my best to give you a lot of my answers. So you're probably the first question you guys are probably having is what happened to the Justin and Trey. So let me start off there. The Justin and Trey show. Make sure all the microphones are working adequately. So the Justin and Trey show, okay, I'm going to give you an honest opinion. I'm not going to go into detail about it. You guys can learn and figure that stuff out later. But we have experienced or went through a little bit of some conflict of interest over the past few weeks, and you guys could kind of see the pattern over the last month. There has been a good amount of shows been missing consistency, and like I said, there has been a conflict of interest of conversation, and at this point we have officially decided that we will just be stepping away and taking a break from that show. Now, nothing is wrong with either Trey and I or either the entire team. I want to make that apparent to everybody. All right, so hopefully it's just put on pause, and at some point, maybe later on this year, maybe later on this summer, we will see, and hopefully we will get the Justin and Trey right back up and running again, because I know you guys surely miss that show. If you guys are just tuning in, let us know how the audio goes here. I just kind of set myself up. I took my equipment down to NWF's a couple weekends ago to Revolution Rising, and I had I led Armchair Steve Barber from Armchair Booking Podcast that you could go check out on YouTube and audio streaming platforms. He borrowed some of my equipment and potentially to start to interview some of the females over at Revolution Rising. We ended up both of us sponsored representatively matches at the event, and so I didn't really have any tables or anything put up, so I let him use some of my equipment. I thought it was a good idea. It didn't really work out in our favor, but that was fine. So this is actually the setup that we did in the morning. So I know back there also on the wall, you see the TNC Sports Talk back up, the jerseys back up. I'm going to start working on slowly building and putting stuff back up. I kind of want to take my time doing it, just kind of want to do a different design. I use a lot of those nail pins into the wall. Didn't want, a lot of people got on my case about why aren't you putting nail pins and autographs? So I agree with that. I will go ahead and slowly, like I said, just take my time with it, and I will slowly get all that stuff back up and running. So, but back to the conversation at hand. Like I said, Justin and Trey have just taken a break. How long? I have no idea. They can't tell me. They asked for the timetable. The one thing that I will tell you, okay, and I want you guys to know this, maybe something that you guys can learn on a personal basis, because things don't always go as planned. All right. When you put on a show and you're at this level, you're producing the show, and you're doing this and you're doing that, sometimes it could get overwhelming if there's not proper communication. I've had my fair share, and I still have fair shares of improperly communicating. And what that leads into is exchanges of vocal expressions that just doesn't belong, doesn't make sense. So what I would tell you here is, at least on my end, my behalf, all right, everything is good on my end. I don't know about some of the other parties, and like I said, I'm not going to get too much into detail on that. But on my end, everything is good. There's no grudge. There's no hatred. Uh, there's no disencouragement. There's no support. Unsupportive. So if that kind of puts sense, kind of just be patient with us, and we're hoping to get things up and running at later on this year. All right, so what do we have in store for you today? Well, you know what? Listen, first episode. There's a lot of things. It's been a few weeks since we've broke down the world of sports. We've had the Cincinnati Reds take on the Washington Nationals in a 4-game series. We had the NBA Finals going on between the Celtics and the Golden State Warriors. They just wrapped up a game last night. We'll get into details of that. We had the Hell in a Cell Premium Live on the Peacock last night. Got a chance to watch that. First time actually in a while that I got a chance to watch a lot of wrestling. We'll definitely cover high into that. What I just found out, something I'm going to share with you, Sportscadia put out 5 things that we need to look for that must happen this week in the WWE. So I have that. I will share that with you a little later on today. NHL Stanley Cup Finals are still going on today, so I'll give you a rundown, a break on that. In Your House Premium Live. There's a lot of stuff to talk about throughout this week. I want to get right down to last night's main event. Now, we come down to Hell in a Cell, and we'll get a chance to spend a segment or two on the Cincinnati Reds, get you guys updated on that. We'll get a chance to talk about some of the bigger stories going on in AEW. Like I said, if you guys are just tuning in, come into the chat, talk with us. Let us know what you guys think. But last night, I don't know how the story worked. Okay, maybe someone could fill in the position for me. But apparently, I read something yesterday morning when I woke up about the status of Cody Rhodes. I read the status of Cody Rhodes announced Saturday night on a live show that he was suffering a pectoral injury. More details disclosed during the kickoff. That apparently he injured or partially tore his pectoral muscle on Monday in a match. And then while he was working out on Sunday morning, apparently yesterday morning, he tore it right off the bone, from my understanding. If you guys have more information, please let me know. But that's from my understanding with that. And he decided that he was still going to compete in a Hell in a Cell match. And if you did not watch, I'll tell you, the one thing about the Hell in a Cell Premium Live is one thing that I don't understand is when you name a title Hell in a Cell or a stipulation, Extreme Rules, if you name it TLC, I'm not satisfied with just one match being that stipulation of that program. For example, Money in the Bank is coming up July 2nd, and I am expecting a male and a female Money in the Bank ladder match to take place. But when you have a stipulation, and this is just for coming from me, when you have a stipulation premiere live or pay-per-view called Hell in a Cell, where it's a enclosed cage, I expect or anticipate at least 2 matches for me. Now, the only match there was Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, Chapter 3, and we'll get into that in a moment. But we did see, the one thing I was surprised, we did see how much they emphasized Extreme Rules. We had the triple threat match that kicked off the show, and we'll talk about the girls here a little later on in our program. And they emphasized that this was not just your traditional triple threat match. This was a match that almost anything practically went, and it did. And then I was And Kurt, I was actually excited to see a no holds barred match. Which how often have you seen stipulations being promoted in the WWE as of late? We get down to Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes inside a Hell in a Cell. I had no idea, what to expect, what to anticipate in this match after learning Cody Rhodes suffers a pectoral tear. Okay, we don't know, and that's the other thing. I don't know the extent, the amount of time that he's going to be out. The only thing I know is that he came out and his chest was black and blue. My jaws dropped. I was kind of putting the show together late last night, and I was. I take a lot. I missed his entrance. He took off. Everyone just stopped and stared. I'm like, what is everyone staring for? So I looked back. I looked at the TV, and I'm like, oh wow, that's what they meant when they said pictorial terror. And listen, you got to give Cody some major credit for going through what he's gone through. And I'm going to be honest, it was not that bad of a pay-per-view. All right, I think the females hit it off really well. They set the standards pretty high. And like I said, I have plenty of thoughts about that coming your way. Listen, Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss. Now, this was a match that I didn't think that should have happened. I didn't think that this was a match that I would be intrigued on. Listen, I saw a different side of Madcap Moss, which I'm excited. I'm intrigued to learning more. It's something that I want to tune in. Tune into Friday Night SmackDown and talk about. We also talk about the Kevin Owens as Ezekiel. Now, it didn't turn out. I think for me, that was probably my least favorite match, only just because I feel like they took way too long in putting that match on. This has been a feud that has gone back and forth, and they haven't really they haven't really went one-on-one with each other since the debut of Ezekiel. And I think that there's still a lot of questions out there when you talk about, okay, character-wise, Ezekiel is not Elias, but deep down we know. But when I'm thinking of this match, right? So Kevin Owens picks up the victory last night, and what's next? All right, what did this do to Kevin Owens? All right, was this a big enough win that should be given its proper attention? What's next for him? All right, what's next? And that goes to the other side of the table. What's next for Ezekiel? All right, is Ezekiel going to come out tonight on Raw and exclaim that he is Elias? I mean, he didn't get the upper hand. Obviously, his the beginning of his career kind of is starting to go down in the drain. I don't know how much or how far you could run with Ezekiel's gimmick before the WWE gives up. And I feel terrible because I know that Elias is a really talented athlete, and I know he was off screen for a good amount of time because they wanted him to do a character change. I didn't think that he needed a character change. I liked the character that he had prior to that. I felt like that was his real self. I felt him coming out with he was very talented on the guitar. He was able to sing. I mean, he was running away with it. It was WWE stands for Walk with Elias. And now they change it up. They bring Ezekiel, Ezekiel out. They spend way too much time trying to prove. And when here's the thing, when you're spending too much time trying to prove to somebody or to an audience that somebody is that person, after so much time, if you don't move on from it, then you're just not going to believe it. And I'm pretty sure Kevin Owens is going to come out tonight, and this is not going to end. All right, Kevin Owens is going to come out, and say, Ezekiel is Elias because I won the match, which doesn't prove anything. Just because you won a match doesn't mean Ezekiel is Elias. But at the same time, let's look at the counterfactors here. Elias is going to come out, or Ezekiel is going to come out, and put it that way. And he has two options. You can either say that he is Elias, which kind of ruins the entire bit, in my opinion, or he could come out and say that, hey, I'm still Ezekiel, and he won't drop it. And my question is where is this going to go between these two men? I don't see it going nowhere. Okay, this doesn't help. Kevin Owens had a match with Stone Cold Steve Austin back at WrestleMania. He moves in a 8-week time frame. He moves from Stone Cold Steve Austin. All right, probably one of the greatest moments in WrestleMania history. One of the greatest moments in Kevin Owens' career, to have that spotlight with with Stone Cold Steve Austin, to facing and trying to prove that Ezekiel is Elias. And just because you won your match does not necessarily mean that Ezekiel is Elias. Okay? And so what does that do for Kevin Owens? I want to know. Let me know down in the comments. What does that do for Kevin Owens? What does that do for Ezekiel? Where does Ezekiel go from here? All right, is every opponent going to be like Ezekiel is Elias until you prove otherwise? You know, one thing that did really trigger my attention last night, that the match actually did something for that person, was Bobby Lashley making that clear statement after beating Omos and MVP that he has his eyes set for the WWE Universal Unification Championship belt. Okay, great. We haven't seen Roman Reigns in 2 months. I wouldn't mind seeing Bobby Lashley back at it again, trying to get one of those titles. What does this? I think there's a lot of questions that should be answered between now and especially as we start making our approach to SummerSlam. You think of Money in the Bank coming up next. We should be finding some information out tonight about exactly what those ladder matches should start looking like. All right, for both the men and the female side. I'm also excited to hear. Hopefully, we can hear from Cody Rhodes. Hell in a Cell. I want to leave it at this before we cut to break. Hell in a Cell paid a lot of attention to the Raw. Back with when the brand was split. Okay, you had a Raw roster and a SmackDown roster. Last night they paid a lot of attention to Raw talent, and I wouldn't say that they won that right, but I will say that they did make a very big jump in approach, because now I'm intrigued to see the aftermath. See, last month at WrestleMania Backlash, and they don't really make this apparent, which premium lives are for which brands. And I remember when they first, back in 2016, and when they first decided that, hey, we're going to split the brand, and what we're going to do is that every other pay-per-view is going to go back and forth between Raw and SmackDown. They were actually apparent on what was going on. Okay, they were apparent on. Okay, they made it clear. Okay, this is a SmackDown. With the color changes, this was a SmackDown event. Last night was a clear image that this was a Raw event, and I tell you that they needed this event a lot more than anything else, because Raw has been a downhill spiral. Okay, and that's a lot to say, considering that you got Bobby Lashley on that card, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, RK Bro. That's a lot to say, that Raw is on a downhill spiral, at least in my eyes, with the audience. I mean, do you come home on Monday nights and say, hey, let's watch 3 hours of Raw, when they don't have a main championship on the on their brand? All right, their main champion is Roman Reigns, and where is he at? He doesn't show up. Is he going to start showing up more? That's the question to ask. Okay, you get to see Edge, but Judgment Day is still forming. We'll talk about that a little later on in our program. You got Bobby Lashley that is working with Omos, so there's no big title picture. RK Bro dropped their title, so where's the tag team titles involvement? Hell in a Cell did something for Raw last night that now makes you want to tune in to Monday Night Raw and at least skimmer what is out there. But we're just getting warped up underway here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. I want to say good morning to Armchair Booking. All right. Like I said, we will be talking heavily about Hell in a Cell as we get ready for tonight on Monday Night Raw. What's the aftermath that holds. I also want to get into 5 things that must happen in the WWE this week. I'll go over them as well. We'll break down a little bit of the Cincinnati Reds and how they what they did over the weekend. As although they dropped the series to the Washington Nationals, Joey Votto did something very impressive. And I wouldn't call it very impressive, but if you're a baseball fan, you pay attention into that. NBA Finals are underway. The Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors are tied at 1 apiece. I'll give you the final scores up to that. We're taking you up until high noon here thank you guys for tuning in to the throw-in right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. You guys are watching and listening to the throw-in right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel, which is given to you in thanks to StreamYard, where you can create your podcast, YouTube videos, host virtual business meetings, and more. Guys, check out StreamYard.com for more information and start their free version today at StreamYard.com. All right, welcome back. You guys able to hear me? Let me know. Give me a thumbs up. I had my main computer frozen for a second. And looks like we get all that back up and running. Let me know if you guys can hear me clearly. I'm sure Booking if you're in there. Alright, I think we're good. I had just give me a 1-letter syllable. Give me a Y if you guys can still hear me. All right, I'm gonna take that as a yes. I had my main computer over here. So this computer I have that you see in the background, this computer is kind of a full screen monitor, and I could go back and forth, and you'll see why later on in the program. All right, sounds good. Great, love to get that communication, that confirmation that I'm doing great. And then this computer kind of just froze for a second, so I was just like, all right, what's going on? Well, welcome back to the throw-in right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Like I mentioned earlier with you, Justin the Trey is currently taking a break. Nothing happened between Justin the Trey. Okay, we have decided that take some time, kind of regroup, kind of re-elaborate, and get Trey back on here at a later date, and hopefully that's sooner than later. Because I know you guys enjoy listening to them. But in the meantime, we're going to be starting early in the days. I know that this show is from 10 to noon, but you guys will actually be listening to us from 6 to 8 in the morning. I know. Let's wake up in the morning with the throw-in with Justin, and that's myself. I'll come to you on the weekdays, Monday through Fridays. Check it out on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. You guys can also check out our podcast. Now, something that was interesting that we have sort of changed also, talking about our podcast, is that our podcast, when you download us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, it used to say TNC Sports Talk. Well, you could actually, I changed that name because we went over to Spreaker, and starting this, the throw-in here, kind of changed, kind of altered to to Justin. So I changed it to Justin and Trey. So when you go on to your, Spotify, go on to your, iHeartRadio or wherever you guys listen to us at, you will see Justin and Trey on their own episodes, and then you're going to see the throw-in. So you guys can look up probably about 1 o'clock this afternoon. I'll post it up on YouTube. But when it gets posted on our social media accounts. Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Be sure to throw in the throw-in. That's the name of today's show in the mornings, and we will get to that way you could download and take us on this every episode in the morning. You don't miss a single second of what we talk about. We talk about a lot of sports. Before we get into more wrestling talk, and yes, I'm not ignoring some of the big conversations coming out of AEW. There's 2 big topics coming out of AEW we'll talk about a little later on this morning here. Frank Gore this past week, and I don't know if you guys heard about that. I remember Frank Gore. He's a longtime San Francisco 49er running back. And he towards the end of his career, he got traded to the Indianapolis Colts, or he became a free agent and signed with the Colts. And he kind of finished his career out playing days out with the Indianapolis Colts. Frank Gore was also a time period in my childhood, because he was a guy that was alongside Alex Smith, the quarterback, the guy who went to Kansas City, took them to the playoffs, went to Washington, had that big, scary injury that practically ended his career. But Frank Gore, for me, I grew up, and when my dad is a 49er fan. And so I started watching the 49ers growing up, getting into high school, trying to find my own football team. The Chargers were crappy, so I was just like, you know what, I'm going to start. I started off with San Francisco, and I enjoyed watching Alex Smith and Frank Gore. To be honest, they reminded me of watching a Steve Young and a Jerry Rice in a caliber. I know that's way before my time frame, but I used to watch old videos with Steve Young, Jerry Rice, Joe Montana. How many times do I sit there and I watch the Joe Montana Super Bowl, run? Last minute and a half of the game, running down the field at the Super Bowl against the Bengals, beating the Bengals. And the Bengals should have won that one. We had David Fulcher. He played during that game. We had him on earlier this year talking about that. So Frank Gore decides that he signed this past weekend. He signed a one-day contract with the San Francisco 49ers just so that he could officially retire as a 49er, where his long run of his career lasted. Interesting fact that I came up to on my Facebook this morning. Only two people in history of the NFL had more rushing yards than Frank Gore. Can you guys guess those names? Two people in history had more rushing yards than Frank Gore. I'll give you guys a second. Think about that. I'll tell you guys that here before we go to break. And I will tell you guys that. But I want you guys to leave a comment down below if you know that answer. All right. What we're looking for is two people in the history of the NFL that have more rushing yards than Frank Gore. I'm pretty sure you guys could get one. At least one. It was named after him. Anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Something coming out of the Hell in a Cell last night. And I don't know, there's a little bit of controversy of what happened with Seth Rollins. Are we done? Okay. I just read it. I'm sure Pooking's post here. Emmett and Sweetness. Who do you think? I don't. Maybe I'm maybe I know who you're talking about, but who is Sweetness to you? That's kind of what I'm curious about. I know Emmett. Emmett's correct. Emmitt Smith is 18,355. Looking for the other one. You said some Sweetness. I don't know what his nickname was. So if you guys, yes, there you go. All right, ding. Hey. Yes, I'm sure, Brooke, I'm going to give you 10 points for your credit there. Yes, it was Walter Payton at 16,726, and Emmitt Smith had 18,355. And Frank Gore had an even 16,000 for rushing yards, which for me, I think is just incredible. And to be able to watch, a guy like, I grew up watching Frank Gore. I grew up watching guys like LaDainian Tomlinson. All right, that was the guy I grew up in my early days watching LT run all those yards. Then I go over and, it wasn't Terrell, T.O., or it wasn't Reggie Bush. It was LaDainian Tomlinson. And then for me, it was Frank Gore. And then, I loved watching, I still miss where Damian Williams is. Because and the only reason I throw that out there is because I used to play football with him. He was a senior at my freshman year, and we played together for one season. Thought that was pretty impressive. Anyways, so Frank Gore, thank you for the career that you have given us, and we hope that for me, I consider him a Hall of Fame ballot. Now, listen, the one thing that you have to remember with the 49ers in that time period, I'm talking about like the 2000s to the 2010s, They had players that, Alex Smith was a good quarterback. Frank Gore was a great running back. But these were guys that the rest of the team just sucked. And they couldn't do nothing. They couldn't get nowhere. Uh, and they were probably a laughing stock of the division, if you ask me. Let's get down into. I do want to talk about. There's a lot of controversy, I believe, going on. Are we done watching Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins compete? I know I am. I knew before Justin and Trey separated. Trey said he was done too. He was done after the first round, and so let's paint you the picture back to WrestleMania. Seth Rollins desperately wants a match at WrestleMania. Have that WrestleMania moment. Kevin Owens has that WrestleMania moment. Where is Seth Rollins' WrestleMania moment? Cody Rhodes comes back. We knew it was rumors and speculations ever since he left, ever since the Royal Rumble, apparently. And I was okay with that. I was actually excited to see Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes WrestleMania. Now, they had a match moving forward at WrestleMania Backlash where, Cody Rhodes takes another victory. This time, Seth Rollins wanted a rematch, which I understand because Seth Rollins was not mentally, physically, and emotionally prepared to what he had to face at WrestleMania. So he asked for a rematch. He got his rematch. He went and did the dance again with Cody Rhodes, and he lost. Okay, when you ask yourself for an open challenge match in professional wrestling, you don't know who you're coming up with. And let's take it as a fan's perspective, because we really didn't know at the end of the day who his WrestleMania opponent would be. So we just, it could have been The Undertaker for all we knew. And how do you mentally prepare for each and every different person at WrestleMania? How do you mentally prepare for you? Because Cody Rhodes' wrestling style is different than The Undertaker's wrestling style. So how do you mentally prepare for that? So I'm understandable. The first two dances, that's fine. When I was skeptic was seeing Cody Rhodes challenging to Seth Rollins for a third and final time, and I sure hope this is a final time, at least for now, inside the Hell in a Cell. Now, here is where I think the ball goes back and forth on the table. You had two of the similar matches, and don't get me wrong, these were incredible matches. Last night was an incredible main event. Seeing the same match, it's to see how personal it got right away. When Cody Rhodes came back to the WWE, they didn't hesitate. They got personal. Cody Rhodes comes out here, comes back, and he makes that statement, the very instinctive statement. There's two reasons why he's back, which it leads into one. He wants to come back to the WWE to make a name for himself. That mid-card kid growing up into his own, okay, wanting to erase the past of what he started off with to write his own legacy in his own name. He wants to also win the title that his father was never given an opportunity to win the title. Seth Rollins has no problem instigating those factors right away, and I'm all cheers for it. Now, listen, let me ask you this. I say that I was done with this feud a while back. I think they took it up a level last night. Seth Rollins coming out in those yellow polka dots, imitating, getting that inspiration from Dusty Rhodes. The fact, I think it also plays a huge fact that whatever situation it was with Cody's injury with his pectoral muscle and all the bruising he has, the fact that he went through, I want to say, what do you guys thought? What, 25, 30-minute match? Solid. Tables, chairs, everything in the books, you name it, they went through it, kendo sticks, and For me, that right there, he could have backed out. I mean, if I tore my pectoral muscle and I'm all black and blue, I'm backing out for sure. I feel like now there's just a level of respect for both Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, because Seth Rollins did not take it easy on Cody Rhodes. Okay, he did not. He didn't do anything right. He sat there and gave it everything he had. He brought the emotion out of it. He made it personal, and he kept it personal throughout the match. And in order for Cody Rhodes to finish, he had to get personal, and he accomplished it. I thought that was a really great match. And what does this do? Because, like I said, WrestleMania Backlash does not get any attention like they should have gotten. And, in my opinion, there's, Raw needed a lot of attention. Right? This Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins deserves to be main evented. Raw needs that attention. That's why most of the matches was from the Raw side of the show, which is great, because now, for the first time in probably since the night after WrestleMania, I want to actually tune in and watch what happened to what's happening tonight on the Aftermath, because we had a great opener and a great main event. So we'll get into that. Like I said, still 5 things to come. What must happen this week in the WWE? What to look out for here. We'll talk more about In Your House NXT Premium Live that happened on Saturday. Braun Breaker walks away champion. The Toxic Attraction walks away with the titles as well. They seem to be unstoppable as well. There's a lot of great fractions going on. Have you noticed that the Bloodline started it all? And then you got Toxic Attraction in NXT. Now you got, Imperium was dominant, and then they kind of just farted on that. And then you had, then Judgment Day is looking pretty good as they picked up the victory over Liv Morgan, Finn Balor, and then AJ Styles. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about there's a couple. Let me get into some AEW style. What's going on over in AEW? Because has this now backlashed against Tony Khan? Listen, MJF pipe bomb, was it bigger than CM Punk's a decade ago? Will MJF get his release, or is this all part of the whole, storyline where you're going to make it personal with the owner of AEW? Or is this actually a real thing? Is MJF ready to leave AEW, or is this part of that story telling? And then listen, what happened to CM Punk? Listen, a slap in the face. Did CM Punk really deserve to be AEW champion? I don't think so. I'll explain why here as the throw-in continues on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. TNC Sports Talk is proud to be sponsored by SeatGeek. When you spend your first purchase of $50 or more, you guys can save 20% off at SeatGeek.com using promo code TNC Sports Talk. So the next time you guys get your sporting events, buy your baseball tickets, football's coming up this year, concerts, all right? Be sure to check out SeatGeek. And like I said, when you spend $50 on your first purchase, you use promo code TNC Sports Talk, and you'll save 20% off your next purchase. SeatGeek.com. I want to give a shout out to the very, very happy couple. I don't see that I have any issues with them in this sense, but I want to give congratulations to Tay Conti and Sammy Guevara over this past weekend, who got engaged and is yet to be married. TMZ reports, so this feels for me like a Jersey Shore moment, but TMZ reports that Sammy popped the question while they were visiting the Eiffel Tower. So And congratulations to Tay Conti and Sammy Guevara, who are just now newlyweds. Listen, and I'm going to see a lot of the first thing I popped up on this matter was the fact that I saw there was what was it? I saw a Facebook post how Sammy Guevara proposed 10 months ago, and now he's proposed again to another female 10 months later, and listen, life works that way. I don't. You can't really tell. I mean, in my opinion, you can't really determine how long does it take. Maybe things work and maybe work out. Maybe things don't work out. I mean, I just recently got into a relationship, and listen, it works out. And now I'm doing good. I really feel. I really feel that Tay Conti and Sammy Guevara, just watching them on TV, watching their chemistry, to see them on the off, I feel like they kind of fit that connection. They're big social media junkies. Like I said, they kind of rub off for me on like a little, like a Jersey Shore moment, if you know what I mean. A little TMZ. It's kind of ironic that TMZ reported this. But I'm happy for them. So I wish them the best, and hopefully things will work out. And the one thing that I will notice will say is that I don't know about you. I have not really seen Sammy Guevara be a part of anything or really taken listen. He dropped the title a couple months back, and ever since then I haven't really seen him in a lot of action on television. So I don't know if this relationship that he has with Tay Conti is getting in the way of his success, but I mean, he really jumped the bar pretty quick, and then he's right back down. All right, so over this past week, all right, I never questioned that the match between Hangman Adam Page and CM Punk was not going to be a great match, and I think a lot of people would say that. Would agree, okay, in saying maybe it was due for a title change. I didn't want a title change because I wasn't ready. First of all, I wasn't ready for Adam Page to be done holding that title. I was not. I wanted him to continue holding the AEW championship. I thought there was a little bit more. But at the same time, here's the thing. He's held it for 6 months. And the one thing that AEW is trying to establish is multiple faces of the company. And as we, got clarification a couple weeks ago by both Roger and by both Chris, okay, the face of the company is traditionally, whoever holds that title. Okay, and it's their responsibility. They're trusted by the company, but it's their responsibility to carry that title out with pride. And I 100% agree with that. Okay, I've came to the conclusion, to the acceptance that is understandable. Although I may not agree 100%, because I still feel that you can be the face of the company as long as you don't, even without a title around your waist. If Roman Reigns dropped that title this Friday on SmackDown, could Roman Reigns still be the face of the company? Of course, I feel like he's a bigger entity. When you start looking at places like AEW, I mean, if Kenny Omega didn't leave, or even Cody Rhodes, because I saw Cody Rhodes as the face of the company. If Cody Rhodes never left, if Kenny Omega didn't get hurt and had to be put on the shelf for a while, could you have seen them as the face of the company? Yes. Another person I'm thinking right away, Thunder Rosa, represented the company tremendously. Now, Dr. Brick Breaker did a great job, tremendous job holding the AEW Women's Championship. But even when, and she was the women's face, but Thunder Rosa also carried that role, okay, before winning that championship. So I just wasn't ready for Hangman Adam Page to give up that title yet. At the same time, it's like, listen, you've been through, what, two death matches. You've had a match with what Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole. You've had it against some incredible people. And moving forward, I felt I came to the conclusion that moving forward was best for business. Was it CM Punk's opinion to be the next person in line and having that title? I don't think so. I feel like the AEW has kind of thrown him and pushed him to be that person. And my question to you is that has it backfired? Because as of this on Rampage, he has suffered an injury, has sustained an injury, and has to. So they're going to announce an interim. And this is kind of weird because for me, if you are sustaining an injury, and I have the article here. I'm going to read it. This was presented on June 4th, so back on Saturday. I'm going to read it to you guys. I want you to understand this. During AEW's live broadcast on Rampage in Ontario, sold out Toyota Arena, AEW World Champion CM Punk announced that due to an injury, he would be out of action indefinitely. However, he would not be relinquishing the AEW World Championship. Following this development, AEW's president and general manager Tony Khan has announced the AEW Interim World Champion Eliminator Series. Now, you guys got to help me through here. And this is something I'm going to be working with you because if you have a better knowledge than I do and a better understanding on how all this stuff really just processes, let me know. Okay? That Eliminator Series will begin on Wednesday at AEW's Dynamite on TBS. So, you're telling me that... what happened? I just had it. Hold on one second. You had it and then you lost it. There we go. So, all right. So you're telling me that CM Punk is injured. He cannot defend the title. We don't know the time frame on how long he's going to be out. Now, they say that he possibly will need surgery, which could be, and I heard this actually on the Bustin' Open podcast yesterday, or back on Saturday, that, listen, this could be 4 to 6 weeks. Could be 8 to 12 weeks. We don't know the timetable on this. So what AEW has decided to do is that, listen, we're not going to take the title away from him. Okay, which, and may call me a traditional person, but maybe I believe is that if you cannot defend that title within 30 days, and you're not, eligibly capable of medically capable of defending that title in 30 days, then you should be really, you should give it to somebody else. For me, it should either go back to Adam. It should go back to Adam Page. That's just my opinion. But let me read this. So this is how the Eliminator Series is going to work. An exciting battle royal featuring many of the top competitors in AEW, which will open the broadcast of AEW Dynamite live on Wednesday, June 8th, from the Cable Damer Arena in Independence. Is it Minnesota or Montana? I don't know. Whatever MO is, I don't know my states. With the winner advancing to compete in the main event. All right, so they're going to kick off Dynamite Wednesday night with a battle royal. And the winner of that is going to compete in the main event. All right. Now, I don't know, does Hangman Adam Page get an opportunity at this battle royal? Here's where it gets more interesting to me, because he was the last person who lost he was the guy who lost the title. Does he get his rematch at least? I find it interesting how far they go to this level. The same night, okay, in the main event. So the winner of this battle royal will face, okay, in the same night in the main event. That same night, the winner of the battle royal will meet the former AEW World Champion and number 1 ranked Jon Moxley. So, okay, I'm assuming because Jon Moxley is ranked number 1. So why is Jon Moxley ranked number 1? That's my question. If Hangman Adam Page lost the title back at Double or Nothing, so CM Punk was ranked number 1. That's why he got a number 1 contender spot against Hangman Adam Page, right? So if CM Punk won, don't they just switch roles as of late? No? Does Hangman go back down? Okay, I don't know. So the winner of the battle royal will go face the number one ranked, I guess the next person in line. So John Moxley in a eliminator match in the main event of Dynamite. The winner will advance to compete for the interim AEW World Championship at Forbidden Door on June 26th. Live and sold out from the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. So they're going to be in Chicago. So you got to not only win a battle royal, you got to face John Moxley, and if you can accomplish those two items, that will qualify you to have an opportunity to compete for the AEW World Championship. Okay, making sense here. Meanwhile, on June 12th at New Japan's Pro Wrestling, okay, well now somehow we're getting New Japan Pro Wrestling involved. All right, maybe this is that Forbidden Door for a moment, just to make them feel special and included. An event from the historic Osaka Hall, highly decorated New Japan Pro Wrestling stars, and a longtime rivalry, Hiroshi Tanahashi and Hiroki Goto, and I apologize if I butcher those names, will face off in an eliminator match for the interim AEW World Championship. All right, so New Japan has two wrestlers, Hiroshi and Hiroki, that will be facing off on June 12th at New Japan. Okay, and the winner of that will be advancing to the Forbidden Door on the 26th. All right, so you're going to get someone from New Japan and someone from AEW. The winner of AEW's June 8th Eliminator match will face the winner of New Japan's Pro Wrestling June 12th Tanahashi versus Goto Eliminator match in the main event for Forbidden Door. So we're announcing the main event. So by June 12th, at the end of the night of June 12th, which is what, a week from 6 days, we will find out who will be facing each other at Forbidden Door in the main event on June 26th to crown the interim AEW World Championship. All right. So this is all just to get to a interim position, a temporary spot, right? After AEW World Champion CM Punk is medically cleared to compete, which there's no timetable, the winner of the AEW's interim championship eliminator series will face CM Punk in an AEW World Championship unification match. So you got to win a battle royal, and you got to beat John Moxley after that all in one night in order to be qualified in your end. Then New Japan's going to get involved, and it's going to be a New Japan versus AEW at Forbidden Door to find out the interim, which basically, in my opinion, is going to be a number one contender spot for the AEW Championship. So whenever CM Punk comes back, I feel like that is just a lot of information, in my opinion. Let's continue that and more, because I want to talk more about the Jim JF promo that he dropped. And realistically, let's take a deeper dive into how this is looking. Justin and Trey, the throw-in is continuing here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All right, hour number 2, I want to give a shout out to Epic Dimmis Sound. Discover your world-class artists, composers, and bands. Find the perfect soundtrack and give your social media accounts the music that they deserve. EpicDemicSound.com is a royalty-free music link. For more information, check out EpicDemicSound.com. To your presence, hey baby, can you tell I'm not a criminal? Your choice is seminal. Hour number 2, listen, it's going to probably take me a couple days here as we get used to the new show called The Throw-In, as Justin and Trey has taken a little absence here due to just some conflict of interest. Nothing personal, nothing intense, nothing negative here, but we just decided that we're going to take a wild break, okay? And as you guys missed, you've been listening, he's doing perfectly fine. over there on his end. So we do wish Trey, Courtney, Adam, the entire crew the best of luck. But in the meantime, you guys can watch us here. Now, I know we are on from 10 to noon, but I do want to remind you that we will be going live from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. So waking up early in the morning for you guys and putting on this nice show, the throw-in here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. If you guys are also looking for us here later on today, and I will be posted on our social media pages on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. You guys can find, or at least on Facebook and on Facebook. I got on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. I will let you guys know once those episodes come up, so you guys can follow and download and listen to every episode. And don't miss a single action. If you guys miss this, you guys can rewind it or download and listen to it later while you guys are at work. All right, that article, that form that I read right before break, you guys can find that there on our Facebook page at the TNC Sports Talk. And basically that is explaining by Tony Khan how this interim championship works. Like I said, I mentioned earlier that CM Punk is out due of an injury, may or may not require surgery. There's no timetable. Some say 4 to 6 weeks, some say 8 to 12 weeks. There is no certainty on how long he's going to be out. So basically, a recap of what's going to happen and how this is going to happen is that this Wednesday on Dynamite, you will find that there will be a Battle Royal to start off the night, followed by the main event. The winner of the Battle Royal will be facing Jon Moxley. And the winner of that will go on to Forbidden Door on the 26th to face the winner of the Hiroshi and Hiroki match on New Japan Pro Wrestling on the 12th. So June 12th, they in New Japan Pro Wrestling will have their qualifying match. And then, like I said, check out for Dynamite tonight. So by next week, when we come on the air, I want to say in 6 days, on next week, let me get the calendar up. Next Monday, when we come, we will live here first thing in the morning. We will tell you what that match is going to be. What we were expecting would happen in 2 weeks from there. So stay tuned for that. But I think this begs the question for the topic is, where does Hangman fit? Does he get an opportunity at being in the conversation? Does he get an opportunity at becoming AEW champion? Why does he have to go through so many battles as well? And I understand there's, AEW is all about opportunity, and I like the opportunity it's given. And Forbidden Door, I think it makes sense when you have an AEW and a New Japan Pro Wrestling. But do you really see a New Japan Pro Wrestler hold that title? And right now, if you're asking me just as of today, after having to sleep on it and thinking about it for a little bit, I could say, fair enough, that AEW could look to have a New Japan Pro Wrestler hold that interim AEW championship, waiting for CM Punk to come back. I just don't understand why they will allow Punk to hold it for such a long period of time. Talking about the whole idea here, this one thing. So if you guys didn't pay attention, last week, MJF cuts a big, massive promo, kind of like a pipe bomb, something that CM Punk done nearly a decade ago. You guys remember that? Now, I'm not going to go replay copyrights issue. I don't want to get involved or be in the middle of that. But you can't start off Monday morning without talking about that, can you? MJF cuts a promo basically saying, listen, I am your biggest high-selling athlete in this program. I give you the most TV ratings when I'm on TV. The match between MJF and CM Punk was probably the match of the year in AEW, and rightfully so. All right, I remember watching that match a few months ago, the dog collar match, and that feud, probably one of the greatest feuds in AEW history as of yet. Okay, I will say the only match that is contenders to MJF and CM Punk there was two matches in my opinion. The Lance Archer death match with Hangman Adam Page, and then also for me was the Thunder Rosa and Dr. Britt Baker at St. Patrick's Day Slam for inside that steel cage match. For me, those are the two matches that were contenderized. But this is, MJF and CM Punk has one of the great matches. What and basically MJF has asked, basically pleaded at this point, saying, why wait until 2024? So his contract, from understanding, is his contract is supposed to end January 1st, 2024. So they will give him about a year and a half left on his contract. There's rumors and speculations going out throughout the year that MJF is separating himself from AEW and potentially looking at going to WWE. Now, in order for this to happen, he needs to find a way to get out of his existing contract with AEW, with Tony Khan. And then he could go on to WWE. Now, I don't know if MJF belongs in WWE. I can't say that to a certainty. But but what he did last night, or not last week, was something pretty incredible. And something I feel like a lot of people wish that they can do, is be able to talk to their bosses that way. So bad that they had to cut his microphone off. I think this begs the question, and if Armchair Booking is listening to this, I want maybe spin an episode on MJF. You think about what MJF has been through. He's had this feud with CM Punk. Okay, this long tenor feud that took a couple months to tell. Incredible story. He doesn't beat CM Punk. But at what point does your money-making seller deserves the spotlight as champion? What's wrong with putting MJF as your champion? What is least wrong with giving him the opportunity as putting him as a champion? I would love to see, I feel like Bryan Danielson is out on injury. I don't think he'll be there on Wednesday. We'll talk more about that. But MJF has done a lot for AEW over this past year, as long as I've been watching. And I assure you, when I watch AEW, one of the very few people that I tune in for is because of MJF. And I mean, listen, I'm not saying that. Listen, he definitely has the mic skills. I'm not saying that I'm not the best, that he's not the best in the world. But you know what? He gravitates my attention. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that he gravitates attention to. When you know that MJF is going to be on AEW, you watch. When he came, ever since that promo that he did that Thanksgiving weekend against CM Punk, remember that pipe bomb that he gave? Every week when I hear about MJF being on AEW in a match, in a promo cut, he has something that very few athletes have, where he could come out and he could entertain you on the microphone. He has you on the edge of your seat each and every week with that microphone, because you just don't know what he's going to say next. They let him speak his mind. He's able to do it very clearly, too. For being, 26, 27 years old, he's a very young guy. He has a great future ahead of him. So what is he missing? Does he not have the in-ring ability? He has the look. He has the microphone skills. Because he's not a face? Is it because he's not a baby face? Is it because he, is AEW scared of giving him that title, giving him that run? I mean, they're letting him go out there and speak their minds. I know that. I mean, I've heard that plenty of times on the Busted Open podcast, how AEW and how they're designed, they give them the agenda. They don't really hold them back of what they can and can't say. And I mean, it makes you question a little bit, because last week he kind of did go to an extent, and it took them until the very end where he started cussing every other word, and they had to black out everything, to the point where then they turned off his microphone. So exactly, why is AEW holding back from MJF? And does he not deserve better? when you have a guy who everybody, even non-AEW fans, will tune into just to listen, or will find a YouTube page just for MJF stuff. I was watching. I reran that promo. So I listened to the promo that happened last week with MJF, and then I revisited the promo that he had with CM Punk. And man, it just seems to get better. And everything that he said is not wrong. I mean, it does remind me of CM Punk to a certain extent, but everything that he said is not wrong. And I don't know what AEW has in store. Okay, he just got done going through Wardlow. Okay, so now looks like Wardlow, clean hands. He could do his own thing. I don't know what AEW has in store for him now. And that's the other thing. No one's really paying attention about Wardlow. I have not seen him in really the spotlight in a week. You would think after the match that he had with MJF that he would get some sort of match or opportunity. Right? I mean, TNT Championship? I don't know. Maybe it's time. Is he done with Sean Spears? I don't know. It's going to be interesting throughout this summer to watch. Now, they said that it's the summer. Last week I saw a Facebook post said it was the summer of Punk. Obviously, he is injured and he's going to probably be out for the summer. But before we found out that he was injured, I was disagreeing with that social media post. It was like, it was the summer of Punk? No, it's the summer of MJF. He kicked off this summer with the pipe bomb. What did CM Punk do? Kick off the show? Kick off the summer with the 6-man tag match? So, if anything, I'm watching AEW this Wednesday. Matter of fact, I'm going to be watching AEW a lot better this Wednesday. The fact that Punk isn't there. Does Punk really need that title? What does that do for the company? I feel like the AEW's been spoon feeding him. I feel like CM Punk. Tell me if I'm wrong. I may be wrong, but I feel like CM Punk is the John Cena of AEW, where he comes in and he's been given this platform on a silver platter. All right, here, take it. I'll give you this, this, and this. Make you happiest man in the world. And screw everyone else. MJF earned it. Wardlow earns a main title shot. Hangman Page shouldn't have lost it, in my opinion. Where's Bryan Danielson? Where's Jon Moxley? Jon Moxley, come on. Look what Jon Moxley had to do. And the fact that Jon Moxley took the audacity to walk away from the company to seek attention and help that he desperately needed. And then he had to come back in and crawl and fight his way back to rank number 1, while CM Punk, he gets to keep that title around his waist. While as far as we know, we don't know how long he's going to be out. I hope they put the title on New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I hope, okay, I swear, karma comes back around. I hope that they put the title on a New Japan Pro Wrestling. Because I think that would be nice. Okay, at the Forbidden Door. Put the title on New Japan. Have that synced up for a couple months. And I hope on January 27th, there's an MRI or an X-ray that comes back for CM Punk that says you have to have surgery and you're going to be out for 6 months. I hope. Maybe I'm just in a hatred mood of CM Punk today. I mean, please testify if I'm wrong. All right. I want to talk a little bit about, give you guys a Cincinnati Reds recap as they faced the Washington Nationals this past weekend in a 4-game series. I want to give you a update in the NBA Finals as well as in the NHL Stanley Cup. Joey Votto, okay, the Reds didn't do that well this week, and I'll explain why. It's kind of sad to be honest, and I'll explain that here after our break. But Joey Votto made some impressive, interesting, has really entertained us in that fact. He's made some franchise history over this past. As a matter of fact, yesterday that we'll talk about. We'll get you ready for the next series that the Reds coming up. All right, you guys are listening to the Throw In here now, Monday through Fridays from 6 to 8. Like I said, we come on here today as an intro show. We should be live tomorrow from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. You guys listen to the Throw In right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All right, welcome back to you on the throw-in here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Thank you guys for tuning in on this Monday morning. Our new show scheduled with the throw-in Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. You guys can check us on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and more. Check out TNC Sports Talk on YouTube. Download each and every episode. Take us on the road wherever you guys go, and be sure to tune in. All right, so back with baseball. It's been a while, and I am excited. So let me just find a good opening. Good. I like a little bit of background music with our baseball work here in the World League of Sports. I'm going to start with basketball here on this side of things. NBA Finals kick underway. Game 2 was last night between the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors. Back in Game 1, the Celtics beat the Warriors at home. But prior to this, the Warriors had 9 consecutive home game victories. Boston beat them 120-108, taking Game 1. Golden State comes back and takes Game number 2 by a swapping 107-88. They will take on Game 3 on Wednesday as they head over to Boston. Game 4 will be also in Boston on Friday. And Game 5, which they will come on to the 13th. So you got that would be next Monday. That they will be back in Sacramento. So that is into your NBA Finals. And listen, I'm going to give you my quick thoughts on this here. Never expected Boston Celtics to make it back to the finals. I've always said, though, this is, NBA playoffs, that I wanted to see Golden State and Boston. I'm finally getting this. Now, I haven't been all up to date with NBA. I'm actually kind of glad the playoffs took forever, man. And it's kind of hard to maintain that consistency when you were talking about wrestling, when we're talking about baseball and football and the NFL draft in the month of April. So many things are going on. You had WrestleMania, you had MLB starting, and all that stuff. But NBA finals and NBA finals drag out to a month and a half, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are excited about that. And but man, we're at the finals already. I'm excited. I'm excited to see that happen. All right, last night also, what we saw as well was the New York Rangers and the Tampa Bay Lightnings over in the NHL, where the Tampa Bay Lightnings won last night 3-2 against the Rangers. They lead the Rangers still lead the series 2-1 as they will face each other in Tampa Bay tomorrow night. We'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow. Coming up tonight, Colorado Avalanche takes on Edmonton Oilers. Colorado leads 3-0. They'll be playing tonight at 8 p.m. That is your NHL update. NFL, here's what I'll tell you about the NFL. I will tell you this. I will find out a date, but I want to go through each and every division in each and every league. Okay, and kind of give you a rundown on my prediction, their schedule, and all that stuff. I know we were supposed to do that on Justin and Trey, but I want to do that before the official season starts. I want to time it up just right. So give me a couple weeks. I will figure that in. Now, talking about our schedule here and the throw-in in our new show, Monday through Fridays. I will not be here this Friday because I have an early morning doctor's appointment trying to get me back to work, hopefully by next week. So I just want to keep that out. So we will be Monday through Thursday. We'll have Friday off. 3-day weekend. Enjoy yourself. We'll be back on the 13th. I want to let you guys know ahead of time on that. All right, well, now we're getting into the world of baseball, man. And I tell you, it was a little hard to watch. The Washington Nationals came into town. They took the series 3-1 in a 4-game series over the Cincinnati Reds to wrap up the weekend. Coming up back on Thursday, the Reds actually picked up a victory, 8-1. Back on last Thursday, Ashcraft picked up the victory with 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Really good outing by Graham Ashcraft. Home runs were hit by Joey Votto, Kyle Farmer. Back on Friday, the Nationals took an 8-5 win over the Reds. Mike Weiner makes his debut 2022 season, going 4 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs, 4 strikeouts. Tommy Pham and Joey Votto also hit the long ball there. Washington Nationals picked up an afternoon victory back on Saturdays, 10-8. I was tuning into a little bit of that game, saw a comeback come your way. I tell you, Tyler Mahle didn't go do that bad. He went 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Santillan blown the save, 2/3 of an inning, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Hunter Strickland really gave it up for the Reds as he picked up the loss back on Saturday. 1 inning, 4 hits, 3 runs, 0 walks, 2 strikeouts. And as of yesterday, this is when they took the series. The Nationals won 5-4 final score. Luis Castillo, 6 in the 3rd inning, 6 hits, 3 runs, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts. Joey Votto did something incredible. We'll actually get to that here in just a moment. But overall, let's look at what they did this past week. And this is what I'm noticing here. It is sad to see, and disagree with me if you think I'm wrong. You're starting your top 3 guys in your starting rotation. For me, Mike Minor, who made his debut, is a season debut. Going 4 innings, I understand where that leads, okay? You can expect him to come in to the first game of this season and pitch, 6, 7, 8 shutout innings. I mean, he gave up 5 runs, which isn't terrible, all right? But then you're not even consistent out of a guy like Tyler Mahle, who's only gone 6 innings. Now, 6, 7 innings, in my opinion, are good innings. Now, Luis Castillo, Tyler Mahle, listen, they've given up about 6, 7 hits each, 3 runs each. But then, once again, they go back down to their bullpen. I mean, look at Saturday. When you take a look at Saturday's game, Santillan, Hunter Strickland, giving up a combination of 4 runs out of the 10 in the bullpen, and Cincinnati picked up 8. So, it doesn't look good there, okay? I really feel like how the Reds season is going on this year. They got into a lot of injuries early on. And you talk about like Luis Castillo got onto an injury. Mike Minor was injured. Jose Barrero was injured. And then that was just the trickle effect. Because once the season started, it just went downhill from there. You started seeing Mike Moustakas get injured. Then now you see Jonathan India, Tyler Naquin on that injury list, and it doesn't seem to get better. Reds fall up short. I'm just trying to fight through. It definitely. I find it tough to see the starters. The fact that you have more confidence coming out of Graham Ashcraft, going 7 innings, only giving up 1 run, compared that one of your aces like Luis Castillo leading that, only going so long. I mean, I don't know. You try to find some positive things out there. You see Mike Minor, okay? Here's another thing I saw. So yesterday morning, I saw this. Vladimir Gutierrez was placed on the 15-day DL due to a right forearm strain. Here's the reason. Here's what he said. He felt that his arm was way too tight. I mean, he was pitching. He made his last start back a week ago, and then he had to go an outing 2 days after that. So he started about a week. He had his last start. 2 days later, he had to go work out of the bullpen. Then 2 more days he had to work out of the bullpen. There is a significant difference in mindset and a preparation that you have to take into consideration, right? As when you are a pitcher, between going from a starting pitcher who probably has to throw another 50 to 60 pitches before the game to a bullpen guy where you can go relax. It's a different mindset. And when you get done starting a game, no matter how many outings you go, no matter how many pitches you throw in the game, there's a reason why you get 5 days of rest. 2 days of ice, 2 days of warmth, 1 day to recoup. You can't expect your starting pitchers to go back and forth between the bullpen. And listen, I mean, we obviously know what Hunter Strickland and Centellian can't do. They give up runs, blown saves all the time. You wonder why this isn't a good ball club. It's not because you're starting pitchers, because, I mean, I just got done seeing Luis Castillo only giving up 3 runs in 6 innings. It's not terrible. Mike Minor, 4 innings, 5 runs. Okay, but that's given the first outing. 7 innings, 1 run. 6 innings, 3 runs with Tyler Mahle. And now accommodate those 2 walks. Accommodate Luis Castillo's 4 walks. I mean, players are just being hit, pitch selective, at the plate discipline. You wonder why a guy like Vladimir Gutierrez, he actually provides a lot of stamina. I mean, in 8 starts, he's 1 for 6, 7.161 ERA in 10 games. Remember, he had his rookie debut last year. Here's the thing with also pitchers and players. You put them at the major league level, they're going to excel to some point. Then you have to drop them back down to get built back up again. Where has Vladimir Gutierrez? I feel like he's been overworked this season already. And that's what you expected when you had guys such as Luis Castillo, you had Mike Minor down, you had some of your bullpen guys, TJ Antone, he's out for the season. You've had a lot of these guys, a lot of these young guys, Hunter Green, Vladimir Gutierrez, okay, Nick Lodolu, who's also on the DL. All right, he's supposed to be back. He's had back trouble. We'll get to him in a second. So when you expect a lot out of these guys, they get hurt. All right, we're in June. They pitch for 2 months. As these guys who started the season off of the DL come make their way back, like Castillo and Minor, and hopefully Barrero comes back here soon. You're going to see some of these other guys who's been overworked trying to keep the season going. But Vladimir Gutierrez was put down on the DL yesterday. We have Jared Solomon, 3rd time up this season. Right-handed pitcher. His ERA is 3.86 with 5 games, 4 2/3 of an inning. Doesn't look so good, but maybe more repetition. I'm trying to stay positive here. Nick Lodolu is still out. He's expected to come back later this month. He's also did he pitched back on, he did a bullpen session back on Saturday. He did about 30 to 35 pitches. He says he's feeling better. He says another one's going to be live batting practice, and that's going to either be on Tuesday, probably tomorrow. And hopefully that's either going to be here or out in Arizona at their facility. Hopefully it's out in Cincinnati. I mean, they're going to kick off a 4-game series against the Diamondbacks. And hopefully by the end of the week, if not beginning next week, he can start next week's series. Tyler Naquin's Jake Fraley is also out. He has a right knee inflammation and left big toe. So 2 for 1 there. That's another hurt. He's going to be out for a while because he's walking around in the boot. Also, Tyler Naquin, Jonathan India, Lucas Sim, Donovan Solano, all being out right now as expected. We don't know when their comebacks are. Key guys, Naquin, India, Solano. You wonder why the Reds are in last place. Jose Barrero, he started back in May, in the middle of May, his AAA. He's batting .294, a double home run. They're kind of what they're doing for Jose Barrero. I'm expected to see him up by mid-July because they're trying to give him and trying to create a spring training atmosphere for him. Right? He never really got that to take off because he had to have surgery. So they're giving him that spring training down. Don't rush him. I mean, the season's not going the way they want. All right, let's talk about what happened against the Nationals yesterday, because although the Reds had they fell short to the Nationals 3-1. Okay, basically they got swept over the weekend. Something incredible happened yesterday, and I know we don't talk about a lot of this, but how often do you think about it? But Joey Votto made franchise history. He stands alone officially in second place with 442 doubles on Sunday's game. He stands alone in franchise history. There's only two other players that's really between him. All right, so as of before yesterday's game, Joey Votto and Barry Larkin was tied at 441 doubles. And extra bases are a big deal, and he could get an extra base, and that's incredible. You think about the years that Joey Votto played for the Cincinnati Reds and how uncommon it is for a one player to stay with the organization for practically their entire team, career. Think about Brandon Phillips, who's 9th on the top 10 list of this double list. He's with 311. This was a guy who, I thought Brandon Phillips was going to stay a Cincinnati Red his entire career. And then they shipped him off. He went to Boston, a couple other teams, and he retired. All right. But, Joey Votto now stands alone. Now, I don't think he's going to be able to bypass Pete Rose. He's going to probably need another 10 years on his career. Maybe that's possible. But Pete Rose sits at 601. And then let's just look at this list. You kind of forget just the history that the Reds have. You have Barry Larkin, 441. Johnny Bench, 381. Tony Perez, 339. All right, Frank Robinson, 318. Bid McPhee with 303. So, congratulations to Joey Votto. Celebrate that. Breaking records. When you're at the end of your career and you've done something right, you get your names on those lists. And I don't see anybody breaking that record anytime soon. So, Joey Votto stands alone in second place as the most doubles in Cincinnati Reds franchise history. The Reds are getting ready to set off their schedule here against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Arizona Diamondbacks coming to town tonight for Game 1. Madison Bumgarner will be on the mound. He's 2 for 4 with a 3.31 ERA, taking on Hunter Green, who's 2 for 7 in a 6.19 ERA. Yeah, I'll tell you this, though. Don't underestimate Madison Bumgarner. I feel like ever since he left the San Francisco Giants, he has not been the same pitcher, okay? Now, he's still a dangerous pitcher, but I just don't hold too tightly on him. Arizona comes into this series here, all right, 26-29 as the Reds sit at 18-35. Hunter Green, had he lost his last outing against Boston back on last Wednesday, went 3 2/3 of an inning, 6 hits, 4 runs, 8 strikeouts against Boston in a 1-7 loss. All right. Over this past weekend, Milwaukee Brewers fell short to a 3-1 4-game series over the San Diego Padres over the weekend. Pittsburgh took a 2-1 game over Arizona. You talk about this Arizona team that came in. They're on a down streak. They lost the series to Pittsburgh. St. Louis and Chicago. St. Louis picked up the series tie last night in extra wins after they won a final score 5-3. So they will move on. Chicago's over in Baltimore tomorrow and Wednesday for a 2-game series. St. Louis in Tampa Bay will begin a 3-game series tomorrow, and Detroit and Pittsburgh also start on Tuesday on a 2-game series. Milwaukee still is sitting in first place. St. Louis Cardinals were a game behind. Actually, 2 games behind that. Oh, yeah. Nope, they're tied with them. I didn't update that from last night. Pittsburgh's in third place, 7 games behind. Chicago is 10 games behind Milwaukee, and Cincinnati is 13.5 games behind. So that is your standing. So we will provide a standing probably at the beginning of the week, at the end of the week, as we play it out. We'll see how this show works. All right, let's take our last break of the morning. We'll come back and I'll show you the 10 things that WWE has to do this week. TNC Sports Talk continues here on the throw-in continues here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
I'ma need safety. Tell her I can't snake me. Ray gun off safety. My girl so tasty. Tell her it's your world. She want the two-tone spaceship. Blow smoke screen daily, so the stress don't faze me. I'm going. I keep it factual. I'm on sabbatical. I'm out in Central America. I need a break from hysteria. Park like the
all right. Welcome back here. Let's wrap up our first episode of the throw-in here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Thank you guys for tuning in, wherever you guys are listening from. If you guys are downloading our episode later on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, thank you to Spreaker for providing an audio platform for us. And you guys got any show topics and all that stuff, please hit me down in the DM. Let me know what we want to talk about. I'll do my best to give you guys sports updates. I have not covered everything inside Hell in a Cell, and that's designed because I want to kind of break down more individual topics. There's a lot that I need to cover, I need to go over. It's been a while. Kind of wanted to give you a rundown to what we were going through. So I want to just make that apparent that you did not hear everything for Hell in a Cell this morning. Like I said, we'll be back again tomorrow from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. We will have Friday off due to an early doctor's appointment that I have to attend to. But we will be talking more about what's going to be happening. In a moment, I'm just going to be breaking down 5 things that the WWE needs to do this week coming out of Hell in a Cell. I kind of want to just update you guys just a little bit more, okay, about what happened and in the WWE, at Hell in a Cell last night. If you guys have not watched Hell in a Cell, this episode has been spoilers. You guys got to understand that. This is what we've talked about. This is what we watched. This is what we've experienced over this past weekend, and we cover the news and highlights in sports. So if you guys don't want to know what happened on this show, don't want to know what happened over the weekend, then be sure to hit pause, come back, and tune into it when you guys are available. Remember, Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins Chapter 3 took place inside a Hell in a Cell last night. Cody Rhodes yesterday morning apparently completely tore his pectoral muscle off the bone. It looked gnarly. It was black and blue all over the place. And the fact that he was able to compete inside a Hell in a Cell almost reminds me as when The Undertaker competed against Mankind inside the cell with a broken ankle. I will say that now, let's be honest, the level that Seth Rollins took last night by wearing Dusty Rhodes' yellow polka dot outfit was, I smiled. I smiled at this feud because I wondered how this feud was going to be able to get over. I was wondering, I wasn't in doubt of how well these athletes were capable of putting on a match for everyone. I knew it was going to be entertaining. We knew that. I don't think there was a question about that. It was the question of what was how can you buy me into it? And this is how you bought me into it. Now, I would like to see this feud move on, and I would like to see Cody Rhodes do something. Now, obviously, I'm assuming that he will not be in action for quite some time. Not quite some time, probably a couple of weeks at least, while he tries to recover. He just went through Hell in a Cell with a clean torn pectoral muscle. So I don't know what that's going to require. And it completely sucks because a lot of people are getting hurt. You see Matt Cardona out, Bryan Danielson's out of action for a while. You don't know what this, there's just a couple other things that you get worried about. As good as the main event was, I can't not sit there and emphasize and praise the way that the night started off with the triple threat match between Asuka, Becky Lynch, and Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. Now, here's the thing. I was told all weekend long through social media and through others that this match needed to be a triple threat match, that all three women would do magic in the ring. Well, they didn't do less, they did more than magic in the ring. They set the standard for a pay-per-view that had potential to be on the back end burner. Because let's face it, Theory and Ali was not a money making opportunity. Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin, I didn't know what direction that went through. And listen, the fact it was a no holds barred, and they actually took it to that limit. All right, sweet revenge. Okay, we'll talk more about that later this week, though. The other thing I wanted to also point out, Bobby Lashley and Omos. Did you guys not see that match? The fact that Omos speared and bulldozed Bobby Lashley through the barricade, and Cedric Alexander got involved, and now you're seeing that comical storyline being told with Cedric and Bobby Lashley and Omos and MVP, and MVP tapped out. I love just watching MVP, the fact that he was able to get in the ring and have a match with Bobby Lashley. Now, I don't know about you, but Omos, Bobby Lashley, and MVP is having a time of their lives. All right? Ezekiel and Kevin Owens. I'm not going to talk about that until probably tomorrow. The Judgment Day. I was honestly surprised about the Judgment Day and how much Edge got involved. You think about a guy who takes weeks to recover from a match. Okay, he's had matches with AJ Styles back at WrestleMania Backlash, and you keep on a premium live pay-per-view month-to-month basis, and he's competing. I enjoyed it. Now, like I said, we'll get to that here in a second, and then you talk about then you go back to this opening of the contest. Now, last month at WrestleMania Backlash, you had Charlotte Flair, you had Ronda Rousey, kind of put their stamp on their story that should have been told properly at WrestleMania, but never did. They waited an extra month. I will say this about the women's match. What I liked about this is that Becky Lynch Bianca Belair did not pin Becky Lynch. Okay, it keeps that feud going, and it keeps Asuka somewhat involved. It's the only thing that I really liked. Now, as much as these three women did a tremendous job in the ring, I really do believe that I would like to see a authentic one-on-one match, no outside interference, no stipulation, one-on-one for the Raw Women's Championship between Asuka and Bianca Belair. Because when I saw them in the ring last night, they were incredible. Okay? I honestly, though, feel that this will make a big circle at SummerSlam this year. I believe, and I would like to see, and let me know what you guys think, Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship at SummerSlam. You got to remember, it was Bianca Belair and it was Sasha Banks that was supposed to do battle at SummerSlam last year, but instead we saw Becky Lynch made her return, and when we saw her made her return, she beat Bianca Belair in 26 seconds. That's what I would like to see. Now, before the end of the show, like I said, I wanted to get to coming into Raw tonight, because now what I like so much about Hell in a Cell is maybe wanting to find out. What I want to know is what's next. What does this feud lie between Becky, Asuka, and Bianca? Bobby Lashley made a gesture of, hey, I'm going after, or I want to go after the championship, Roman Reigns. I am ready to go after him. And after beating Omos and MVP on a 2-on-1, don't you feel like he should be the one? And it's interesting because he's teasing that when we kind of already we're predicting people like Riddle and Randy Orton, and guys like that and Drew McIntyre for the next couple of months. So what's next for Bobby Lashley? I want to see, what's next for Kevin Owens? Is Ezekiel Elias, will he come out and say that? What's next for Judgment Day? Is there another member? And then, Cody Rhodes. You have to hear from Cody Rhodes. But let me share with you the 5 things. Now, this article is coming from Sportscadia. 5 things that must happen on WWE Raw, NXT 2.0, and SmackDown this week. All right. So bear with me. Let me know what you guys think in here. Because over this past weekend, we saw 2 things happen. We saw In Your House, a couple things took place in Your House. You saw Carmelo Hayes retain the North American Championship. You saw Toxic Attraction retain, and then you also saw Braun Breaker annihilate, and retain his champion. The judge coming in at number 5 from Sportscadia. This article is founded on TNC Sports Talk Facebook page. The Judgment Day welcomes a new member. Okay, that's going to be a key component tonight. You think about all these people, and the first guy that comes to mind, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, in my opinion, I'm saying Tommaso Ciampa. Okay, I know that, Trey's on the other hand. If you listen to Justin and Trey recently, he's mentioned before that Tommaso Ciampa is one of those guys. He's been, ever since he's been brought up, he doesn't have anything going for him, and this will be a perfect opportunity to get something going for Tommaso Ciampa. His career's kind of been a dud since he's been brought up to the main roster, and that is something we knew and we could talk about that tomorrow. A new challenger coming in at number 4. A new challenger needs to step up for Braun Breaker after defeating Joey Gracie. Who's next? Well, you know what? There's a handful of guys. I want to see Solo Sikoa step up to the challenge. I don't know if their NXTs are ready for that yet. Coming in at number 3, Asuka and Becky Lynch rekindle their rivalry. You got to remember, this rivalry between Becky, Bianca, and Asuka is really about Asuka and Becky Lynch. This was from the get-go since Asuka's returned. The only reason why Bianca's in the middle of this is because, one, we know that nothing's going to settle between Bianca and Sonya Deville. All right, Becky Lynch has been fixated on getting that Raw Women's title back, and especially after what we saw last night, where Becky finished the match, but Bianca got the pin and basically stole the title away from Becky. It's going to keep this 3-women Lumbo in check. Okay, so how does Asuka respond? Because her gripe should be, Becky took me out. Also, Bianca pinned me. So look out for that tonight on this Raw. All right, and then coming in at number 1. All right, does Roman accept Drew McIntyre's challenge? All right, you got the Drew McIntyre will challenge and will win the WWE Undisputed Universal Champion. Okay, now listen, we still have Money in the Bank, we still have SummerSlam, we also still have, and then we have the Clash at the Castle. Now I know Drew McIntyre, that for me, 3 pay-per-views is far away. Now there's reports back and forth whether Roman Reigns will be competing at Money in the Bank. Most certainly, definitely, he should be competing at SummerSlam. But what lies before that challenge, and will that be something that stands up? So, what did we learn today? We've had a lot of things that's gone underway. Okay, the throw-in is just getting started. We will be back again tomorrow, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., Monday through Fridays. Don't miss out. We will talk to you about the aftermath on Raw. We'll get you ready for NXT 2.0. There's a lot more sports I could talk about here. Not enough time on this episode. And we'll get you take a look at the Cincinnati Reds and the Arizona Diamondbacks as Game 1 starts tonight. Well, listen, I want to say thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. Welcome you guys to the new show called the Throw-In on the TNC Sports Talk. And until tomorrow, you guys have yourself a wonderful day. Take care.